All right, I'm recording now. There we go.
All right.
Hello, guys. How you all doing?
Yeah, pretty
Hello.
good.
Good,
And
good,
you?
good. Yeah, no, I'm good. There's just a lot going on. I'm all over the place, right? And that's why I was a little late to this right now too. I'm talking with some new people who've been coming around and asking good questions and pointing out other projects to me, and I'm telling them the differences. And what it comes down to is there's literally no other platform that's actually like Qortal in like every way, right? Like it's just not a thing. So it's interesting to see like the methods that other projects are trying to use to come to a similar type of end result, but it most of the time comes down to the fact that the very base level, in one way or another, is different, right? And we've done everything the way that we have for a reason, and those reasons will start revealing themselves as things move forward, right? And like we'll start seeing other projects that start having issues because of one thing or another that we built differently for a reason. And yeah, so I mean, ultimately, it just comes down to the fact that we need just more people to pay attention and check out what we're doing. And I think it's going to be a lot easier when we get the Q app stuff rolled out, and I'm excited about that. So yeah, it's
Yeah, cool.
yeah. The marketing stuff, I've been updating the community initiative site pretty regularly now, and I'm gonna open that up, like I said the other day, or maybe it was yesterday, to anybody who wants to submit something to be published there. Like, I think it's a good like alternative for now, until we have like the voting system and so forth going live, so that people can, contribute and feel like they're getting heard and whatever, right? So if anyone has an initiative that they would like to see published there for the rest of the community to see and whatnot, then I would be happy to make that happen, and so people can feel like they're contributing and being heard and so forth. So I think it's a good idea. If anybody has any sort of comments along those lines or whatever, just let me know. But I'm not going to like directly facilitate like any modifications to any of the proposals or whatever. I'm just gonna like have them presented to the community so people can give some opinions on it, like basic ones. And then if we all like, yeah, it's a good one, then I'll publish it, right? Like I don't want to like, act like I'm trying to gatekeep anything or whatever. So let me know if you guys have any like suggestions along those lines. And we can make it better as time goes on. Obviously, like what I'm ultimately trying to do, as soon as QApps goes live, I think I can make it so that there will be a form that's actually on the site, and then people can like submit a proposal that will go to like a group of us that we can look it over real quick and then agree on it and then publish it there. So until we have the voting system, of course. Now, when the voting system goes live, people will just be able to submit proposals themselves in the voting system, and others will then be able to vote on it and so forth. But until that point, I think this is like a good alternative to that, so that people can at least submit things that other people will see. And yeah, so let me know what you guys think about that one.
So yeah, to segue into what's going on right now is we're just finishing up the flyer and sticker design contest. We ran for the last 2 weeks. So
Right?
pretty much now it's coming to an end. So the idea is, okay, so now we need to figure out a way to let the community vote on their favorites so we can get a first, second, third place on each side, for both flyers and stickers. And we were pretty much thinking, we set up like one channel on Discord and one on Telegram, a little bit like we did last summer, or like, when we did the votes, for like changing the name registration fee or something like that. But we just list, what I was thinking was, we just list all these submissions on one channel. And then I don't know. I mean, what ideas do you guys have? Like I was thinking maybe we put each person goes through and puts like a 1, a 2, and a 3 on what they believe should be the first, second, and third place. for the stickers, or maybe a separate one for flyers and one for stickers. And then obviously I can't vote for myself, or like, like Scythian or some of the other people that have made submissions. None of us will vote for our own, submissions, but I don't know. What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean, I think we can do it that way for now since it's like really the only option that we have for like voting, quote unquote voting at the moment. So, yeah, I think we can like just choose a channel to use for that on Discord,
Just
and
vote
then
them individually.
yeah, I'll
Pick
put up
number one.
yeah, I'll put
Pick
up
number
each
two.
one, right.
After one is selected.
Yeah, I think that's good. We can, we'll structure it however makes sense, and we can figure that out pretty much on the fly. I think we'll just publish each one there and say, here are the options, and vote for your favorite. And then, I mean, we could even make it so that like we just have everyone vote, and then the one that gets the most votes is number one, and the one that gets the second most is number two, and so
Yeah,
forth. Yeah, I mean,
yeah, we
but
could do that.
yeah, I mean, but if people want to vote for first, second, third, that also works. So however we like end up structuring it is fine. If we just want to say, vote for your favorite, then we can do it that way. Or we can say, vote first, second, third. I don't know which way is going to make more sense or be easier for people, but we can do it either way or both. And then in Telegram, we can do a poll. So I think actually Telegram is kind of better for voting because it has the polling option. I don't know if Discord added anything like that. I mean, they're doing like 500,000 updates a day, so they should have that kind of functionality, but I don't know if they do. Yeah, we'll figure it out on Discord. The reactions way of voting has worked in the past, and so yeah, we could probably do it that way. And I have so far taken all of these submissions, and they are now uploaded or published on the community initiative site as well. And I'm trying to get used to not using the term upload because that's not really a thing. And I'm trying to get everything that we build on top of QDN to use the terminology publish because that's what it really is. You're not really uploading anything when you're publishing on QDN. You are publishing it, and then other people grab it from your node or any of the super nodes that grab it immediately. And so it's not uploading in the sense that you're, uploading it to a server or whatever, right? So we need to get in the headspace of using the terminology publish for everything that goes on QDN instead of upload, right? And I'm having them modify that as far as anything that currently uses that terminology in the UI because we are not actually uploading anything not at the time anyway. So it's a completely different way of doing everything, but that's a side topic. Anyways, yeah, I think I published all of that on the community initiative site. So if you go to the marketing initiatives page that exists now, there's the download button for flyers and stickers, and then there's another one for images and logos, and I have put it in the flyers and stickers download, and inside of that zip I have put a community folder and then a name of each of the persons who have submitted anything, right? And then I put all of their stuff underneath their name in a folder. So you get that zip. It includes all of the published ones that we know now that are being submitted for the contest. So if people want to grab it, they can do that and right now, either through the Qortal UI or just, Qortal.link/community-initiatives. And yeah, you can get all the stuff there. So you can look at it now and until we make the vote publishing. So are we going to do that right now? That ends today, right? Like, yeah, right?
Yeah, pretty much today. So I think maybe like tomorrow or tonight or whatever, we start, working on the vote. And I was thinking like, we run it for like a week to give everybody, a chance to get their vote in. It seems like more or less any kind of initiative that I've done, at least, I've noticed, like when I do it for 2 weeks, it really kicks for like a week. And then like the second week, it pretty much pitters out, it kind of
Yeah.
comes
Can you
to the
post a link to the submissions inside Core text so I can pin it?
Yeah, well, there's submissions over in the marketing channel. I don't know if I can post that.
What do you
Just
want?
as the guys come in later on during the day, they can post a vote if they catch it in time.
You just want the actual files for the submissions?
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah, like I said, you can grab them right now from the community initiatives page. I put them in a folder called community, and they're all labeled with who submitted them.
Where is that?
Qortal.link/community tech initiatives, or just in the Qortal UI website, community initiatives.
Did you get the ones added, the ones that came in today?
Well, I published it yesterday, so no.
Yeah, so you haven't
So
gotten that.
yeah, I didn't see any of that yet. So
Plus, we need somebody to go check out Telegram too and see if there's any.
yeah, I'm on Telegram, but
Okay.
I don't know if G has been staying on top of that or not. But
Quick My Thrills said he'll post them all into the channel.
okay, cool. Then yeah, if we've got others, like all of the ones that were published up until yesterday, I have published on the community initiatives page, and then if there are any new ones, then I just need to be aware of them, and I can grab them and put them up there too. I like the idea of keeping them all there because now they're published on QDN forever, right? They will be there indefinitely. And then as far as the contest goes, yeah, that's a separate thing. But I think 1 week probably is better for a contest because, like you were saying, I mean, people have a short attention span and they want to see the results of it. I think the people who can do stuff like this are able to do it within a couple hours. So, if we do a contest like this, which I want to do another one because I'm looking for more Qortal wallpapers. Right, so I want to do another one for Qortal wallpapers because for the computers that I'm building and so forth, and websites and all that, I realized that we have a few wallpapers, but there's only a couple that are dark and a couple that really work as backgrounds on websites and so forth. So I'd really like to have a couple more Qortal focused wallpapers, whether they're ones with just a Qortal pattern or ones that have Qortal wording on them. I made one myself recently that I just threw it together real quick. I'm not really a graphic designer, but I would like to have a couple more of those. So I would like to run another contest, and I can put up a couple thousand Qort for that too, and get it really kicking. So I think since the price of Qort is so low right now, we could also entice people by doing contests with few hundred to 1,000 as main prize or whatever. So I don't remember what you were putting here as the main prize for this one, but I like the idea of just getting more people involved that way. I like the contest idea. It's a cool one. So I'd like to kick off another one as soon as this one's done for another graphic design thing. So yeah.
Yeah, that's what we were thinking, different sizes of the stickers. And then, we need memes. We need, like you said, there's a lot of different things that we need to start kind of accumulating, and we could do contests for. And I'd like to do more giveaways. That really kicked, over on Twitter.
Cool.
I got my other social media supporting that, and it really kicked a lot of extra energy, in the community. A lot of people were really getting involved, and so we need to do more of those.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that was just giving away 50 Qort. I think the next time I'll do 100 or.
Yeah, I'll definitely throw in. I'll put together another donation for that kind of thing too, like contests on the marketing initiatives page. I'll put another one together for contests. And unless you have that registered name already, do you? If you do, then great.
No.
Okay.
But I did register giveaways the other day.
That works. Okay, so yeah, if you want to do that, I'll put that up as a donation address for that contest and giveaways. That works. But thank you to everyone who donated to the Dev Fund as of last week. We got friggin' 40K in donations in a week, and that made me really happy. I'm happy that we still have that much support from the community. Thank you for everyone who donated to the Dev Fund, especially the few founders who threw in larger amounts. That's exactly what your job is if you're not contributing in other ways, so I really appreciate that. And thanks to, of course, everyone who is, continuously contributing to the project. Without the community, Qortal is nothing. So you guys are awesome, and I really appreciate it.
Good morning. Good morning.
Hello.
That is great news. Oh my God.
I know, right? Yeah, we were down to, damn, it was 6,000 or something.
Is giving his court, so they all decide to giving a court.
Well, yeah, no, it was just like, I messaged a couple people in private. I was like, yo, the dev fund's getting like kind of dangerously low. It would be really nice if we could get some donations. And I was actually surprised. Like, I think this is the first time that we've gotten like 40K in a week, so that was awesome.
Many messages, and they all said I was very organic. I was really good. I said, oh my God, I thought, I was joke. My English is not perfect. Guys, forgive me, guys. I really try my best to express myself about the feeling I have about Qortal. And because as I told to Pazier, this is for outcome. I am 100% for outcome. The reason I am not for income here, the reason because I have no doubt. I have no doubt income will come.
Right.
100%.
It's always been a side effect of doing everything correctly. That's the way I've looked at it, right? If we build everything as legit as it can possibly be from the very base level, it will happen organically that things will start picking up on the income side. So, like, these times where things are, difficult on that side of things, it just makes us see who really cares about the project, the people who are working on it for the right reasons, etc.
You made my day with this news because we never had this experience,
Right.
to have 40,000 court as, this has made my day. Thank you, everyone. Right? Everyone, thank you.
Yeah, I was really happy about that because, like, the dev fund getting down to 6K when we have to spend like 4K of that every week to make sure that we keep everything going right now with the prices the way they are. I was like, man, we only have a couple weeks left in the dev fund, so this is not looking good.
I can't believe it.
And yeah, 40K in a week, so awesome. Yeah.
Yes, this was really great support.
Yeah, awesome, guys. I appreciate it. This community once again proves itself to be fantastic. And
thank you, Jason. You're doing a great job, really, everyone, and you're doing a wonderful job. And keep everyone positive, keep everyone moving forward. I think it's very soon. Everyone will sit back and relax.
Right. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that day because honestly, things are quite stressful for me in multiple different aspects of my life right now, not just Qortal related, but the development side, man, guys, like you guys have no clue what is coming right now.
I want you to be a little bit relaxed of, the world right now, the crisis, not just you, not just me, everyone, the whole world. I don't know what's going on, but I think something great is going to happen. Everything is going to,
Yeah, I mean, there's been a lot of predictions as far as that goes with a bunch of different people suggesting that this year is going to be one where lots of interesting things take place. And I mean, so far it has definitely been interesting. I'll give it that, right? Like, but on the development side, guys, on the testnet right now, we have Qblog, which is basically fully functional. You can post blogs, you can see blog posts, you can publish links to anything published on QDN, including other videos or pictures or whatever. Those links are now working. All of that's good. The QTube is basically complete as well. Qblog just needs some styling and so forth. QTube just got the publish video modal done, which is like the pop-up to allow you to like select the video you want to publish, the cover image, and like those kinds of things, and publish the video. So that is now done too. We're getting really close, guys. Like, and this is all live on the testnet right now. So like it's like really, really close to being able to be launched on mainnet, which is going to be absolutely incredible. I am like super stoked for that. I'm not 100% sure how far along the gateway authentication is. That may come a little after, so I'm not 100% sure on that. But either way, I believe you should be able to, at the very least, watch videos and so forth through the gateway initially, right? You won't be able to do comments and stuff until the gateway authentication is complete, but we are working on that as well. I think the next focus after the QApp stuff will probably be getting the QChat database and protocol going, because that is going to be pretty essential for the future of the communications platform. And yeah, so we need that to take place too. But yeah, our developers are amazing.
And we need, Jason, we need a seatbelt.
You need what?
A seatbelt.
A seatbelt, yeah. We better fasten those seatbelts, everybody, because yeah, things are definitely going to start picking up. I also have, plans to do another interview with James Corbett, and I also have Saul Luckman, who is now in our Discord. I said what's up to him this morning. It's good to see him here with us. I'm planning on something with him in the near future as well, and of course Sayer, and he and I are going to get together again here soon too, and get a lot more going on that side of things.
I love him. I love his spirit. I love his action. I love the way he explained it. And I think you and him is just have a right spirit together.
Yeah.
I see that.
Ever since I met Sayer, he's felt like a brother to me. So he and I work really well together, and I've been really happy with all of the stuff that we've done so far. I also have a few things going on kind of in the background that I will mention a little bit later on, but just know that there are some other things being developed that will be launched as Q apps in the near future too, to give people an idea of other potential options for the Q apps, so what can be built with them and so forth. So not only just our two initial demos, but yeah. So I also wanted to point out again, right? Because every time I post, oh look here, QTube, right? People are like, OMG, the name QTube, OMG, right? Okay, guys, so check it out. If you don't like the name QTube, this is one of the beautiful things about QDN and anything that's built on top of it, right? So say we launch QTube demo, right? You're like, oh my god, I can't stand the name QTube. I just can't even use it because QTube is a horrible name, right? Okay, fine. What you can do, take the code that was published on QTube, do some slight modifications to it, maybe even just a search and replace for everything that mentions QTube, and replace it with whatever name you want, right? Then take it and republish it on whatever other name you want, and there you go. Now you have all of the functionality of QTube on a completely different name, and you can share it to people under that name, whatever you want, right? So I keep trying to explain this, and it'll become more clear as time goes on, but names do not matter, guys. Like, the name doesn't matter. It really doesn't. You can take it and call it whatever you want, republish it under another name, and have the exact same functionality. You can also make it so that it'll only show videos from certain names, so you can make a video platform that's focused on a certain aspect of videos that certain people and certain names publish. So it's going to become very interesting to see what happens once these few demos are out there, because once they are, right, then any developer can see how these things take place. Once they can see it, then any developer can come in, copy it, modify it, add other functionality to it, and make whatever they want, right? So it's going to be a lot of fun to see how that plays out, yeah.
That's the beauty of Qortal is open source, so they can do
well, not just that. The cool part about QDN is since all of the data is there on the underlying platform, regardless of how it's being called. So you can take and use that data however you see fit with any application that you publish. So it's unlike anything else. Like so say like any video that's published on YouTube can be automatically viewed on some other video platform.
Exactly.
And it's crazy, right? It's totally awesome. So like that's absolutely the way that the future is going to function, right? So all of the data that's there on QDN anywhere can be linked to from any application or any website, like by default, right? If it's public data, it's public data. It can be accessed by anything. So it's absolutely going to be badass. I'm super stoked about how this is all going to work.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. Wow.
So how soon do you think we will be able to stream over QTube?
Yeah, streaming is a completely different thing. So that is not going to be like, honestly, I don't know, right? Like, because we have not fully talked about that yet. Right now, we're focused on data being able to be published on QDN and videos being able to be viewed on QDN. Streaming is a completely different thing. It will require different parameters. It will require a completely different setup. So right now, QDN is about data hosting, right? Like, it's about having data there that can be accessible. It's not about streaming quite yet. However, I do have some suggestions when we get to that point. I've seen a serverless WebRTC setup that can utilize a folder location instead of like trying to connect directly with IP addresses. So if we use that, then we don't have to worry about connecting nodes directly with IP addresses in order to make a streaming situation take place, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking, is that we will like set a data location and figure out how we can share that data in real time. So it's going to be something that is not like immediately completed, because this is going to take a little bit of effort, right? But we will definitely get to that point.
Jason, we need bodyguard for you.
Yeah, that's not the first or 10th time that's been suggested. I'm not near the point of being able to make something like that happen. So, but yeah, if somebody wants to donate, a couple $1 million to me, I'll see
Donate
if I
a
can figure that
bodyguard.
out. Yeah. Right. Yep.
Oh.
We could get a donate a bodyguard button, and then like somebody can just
Oh,
magically. And maybe I can get an AI one, right? Because AI seems to be powering everything now. That's fucking great too, right?
I think very soon your court values so much you can hire your own.
Right. Well, the thing is I'll just be able to pay directly in court.
And go here and there, meeting with everyone.
See, I don't ever focus on like yes, the price of court matters right now, because we need to sell it to get into other things, right? But once we get a lot more support on QDN and people accepting court as payment, the idea of converting back out of court doesn't really cross my mind, right? Like, it's more like, how many people can I pay directly in court? And then we don't have to worry at all about getting out of court. Then, it's more like just get in it long term, and we can use it directly for the things that we need, instead of having to worry about the price and selling it again. Especially, converting court to fiat just makes my blood kind of boil. I really, really hate having to do that. Like, it's just upsetting, right? It's like trading something super legit for a scam. And I just can't handle it in my mind. I just don't like it. So hopefully, in the near future, we'll get a lot more. Oh, that's another thing that happened today.
This is not financial advice.
It's not financial anything. Actually, it's not financial anything. That's.
I just wanted to add it, bro.
Yeah. Okay, all right. But
so, especially with Fed now, you want to be careful. Like Jason said, with Fed now, where they want to, CBDCs, it's like it's worthless. So if you know what I mean, it's a big risk now,
Yeah, I mean, trading court for fiat currencies, and especially when it starts getting to the CBDC, is like, it's like trading gold for dirt or something. Like, it makes no sense.
I think we need to talk only about Qortal, because this video is going to be published.
I have a reminder.
Yeah.
We don't need.
Can I say a reminder?
Politics.
Can I give everybody a reminder?
Always.
Something terrible happened to me last night. A hard drive died on me. I was super confident I had backups.
Right.
I was super confident. When I went to go look, I didn't have this one particular account, the Legend account, which holds about 60 to 70,000 Qortal.
Oh no.
So, guys, I mean, I pray that I find it. I have one laptop chance that's dead, so I'm trying to fix it. I mean, it's possible it could be there, but I don't think it is. I think it's lost, honestly.
Oh,
so,
man. Bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so
guys,
you can have the platter
backup
taken apart at a laboratory and analyzed.
Yeah, I might have somebody who can get that data for you.
Yeah, it's a pretty common thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's
worth it, man.
Yeah. Well, I don't think so, bro. I formatted twice over it.
What?
But you did not
We'll
have
see.
saved on a flash drive or something?
I thought I did. I was super confident I did. And then because there's a lot of addresses, man, there's a lot of fucking keys to keep up with. So when I went to go look, it wasn't. I can't believe it wasn't there. I was like, fucking hey, bro.
So
I had a good cry over it last night, guys. So I'm over it.
Oh man.
All right, 60,000 lost.
Damn.
All right, but yeah, I mean, it could have been.
That's why
think
G
I had-
Factor keeps saying save a backup.
Yep.
Save it
Yeah,
in a
so
flash drive. Many places.
so this is a reminder for all of you. And you know what the feeling was? I think we used to have passphrases where I used to be able to text the passphrase over to a secret phone, you know, and I keep them in a dead phone, like all my data, right? And I have about 100 phones stacked up, piled on top of each other. So good luck finding which one it is. You know, but that's how I did, you know. So now with these like newer wallets, it doesn't offer the passphrase to you right away. So there's not that option of backup. Now you just got that file you got to carry around.
There is that option when you create the account.
I know,
it's still there.
I know, but now it doesn't offer it to you when it starts.
Yeah.
When you first install it.
Or just
It used to offer it to you. That's all.
I don't get what you mean.
That's all I'm saying. That's the difference. So this was the first wallet.
Word.
Yeah, click
Yeah,
seed phrase.
I personally had many people and they had the same issue with a computer or something, but because they already saved it in flash drive, they got it to different computer and running and minting. So
what
the only things
what
that
I
everyone
do
have to save.
What I do whenever I create a new account, I have a folder that I have all of my backup files saved in. Whenever I create a new account, I have an rsync script that I run that automatically synchronizes the data across multiple computers and multiple drives. So yeah, I mean that's what I do. I can also offer people for now a cloud account, on my private cloud server, the Qortal cloud. If anybody wants an account there so that they can have a backup location that they can save it on the private data cloud that I run, and I'm the only admin of, so there's nobody else who can get into it at all. But yeah, if you want that, I can give that to you too. Is it
possible we develop Ethereum on Portal to have it
I don't like the idea of developing support for scams, but ultimately it's not up to me, right?
It's a cold wallet. It's a cold wallet. You keep your,
Nah, fuck Ethereum.
Yeah,
man.
I mean,
Ethereum, fuck BSV. Done with that shit.
Yeah, the problem.
Only good technology. Only good technology. None of that token shit.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that Ethereum was literally launched as a massive ICO. It has totally been co-opted by a bunch of large corporations. I believe it was basically built to do that. It was basically built to bastardize the crypto space, in my opinion, right? And yes, I have a pretty heavy opinion on these things, but it's ultimately.
I know they are fake. I know they are fake. I've been with them for many years, but the problem, what I'm saying, it just have a cold wallet to have a cold wallet to.
Or you can do a pirate chain cold wallet. Or you can do Qortal as well.
Right, yeah, just convert.
There's a way to do that.
I mean, there's an easy way to switch.
There's a lot more coins.
Yeah.
There's a lot more coins out there that deserve to be on Qortal than Ethereum. Ethereum is shit.
Exactly.
The technology is shit.
And
there's Mysterium that offers a VPN to people. There's other storage coins. I mean, there's coins that actually do shit that do deserve to be on it.
Yeah.
Not this gamification coin of it's gambling. Why don't you call it gambling Ethereum?
Dude, yeah. I was looking the other day Ethereum. Through this Ethereum block explorer. I got this I don't know. It was beta access to this new platform that allows you to search everything on Ethereum, Binance, and all these other chains, right? And I'm looking through it, and I'm looking at the top accounts, and nearly all of them, they say, it has a 500, 600, 800 million dollar value. But when you look at what they're actually holding, right, 99% of them are holding their own created token. So they're creating a token from thin air. They're holding a massive supply of that token, and then all of a sudden they've got $800 million in value because their token's last traded price was whatever, right? That does not mean that they actually have that much value in their account, right? It's just complete nonsense. So say like I created nonsense token, I launched nonsense token, I put it on top of a chain, I then have 800 million nonsense tokens, and I sell it on the whatever DEX, so-called DEX, right? I sell it, last traded price $5. I have 900 million times 5 in value now. It's just like, wow, okay, like that is not real, guys. Like, come on, man. Like, there's no value behind like any of these nonsense tokens.
They call that fall advertising. They're trying to.
It's
just,
crazy. Like, I'm surprised that it's been able to go on as long as it has. The only reason is because they're, budgeting with a lot of big corporations and so forth.
The reason because who's supporting it, whatever side or whatever, a platform supporting that, they will get percentage of kickback.
Right,
That's
I know. It's all a big freaking pyramid. Yeah, and I like at some point this is all going to be recognized by the world, right? At some point this is all going to start falling down, as we've seen with centralized exchanges, FTX, and so forth, right? These things are no different. Like, just because they happen to be quote unquote decentralized because they were launched as a token on a decentralized platform, again, quote unquote, when you're talking about Ethereum. But it does not mean, guys, that there's actually any value in these tokens. Like, they are complete nonsense. Who is going to buy them? If I wanted to sell my 900 million nonsense tokens, is there going to be anyone who's actually going to buy them from me, right? No, right? So yeah, this is why, like, so Qortal actually has.
That's not true, bro. That's not true.
What
yeah, there's going to be someone that wants all the BitConnects.
Yeah, hundreds of tokens. Just look at Ethereum.
Okay, fine.
Look at Ethereum, man. How many shit tokens are out there? How many people
I know, I get it. But eventually it's going to be realized that they're not actually valuable, that they have nothing behind them, and so forth, right? Everything eventually figures itself out. And, I forgot what I was going to say now. I had some train of thought I was going with that. But
I think, Jason, we need a bodyguard for you.
So, no, this is what I was going to say. So, Qortal actually has an asset system, right, to where we could allow tokens like this to be created on top of Qortal. Now, we have that disabled. We have that disabled on purpose because literally every other platform that I've ever seen that allows people to create their own token from thin air and control it all at the very beginning has turned into a massive plethora of scams on top of that platform. Now, we do not want to facilitate more scams to taking place, right? So we have made sure that the asset system on Qortal is disabled, and it may be re-enabled in the future. However, it would only be re-enabled if it was able to be re-enabled in a way that makes total sense and does not allow a bunch of massive scams to be launched, right? So that is potentially a thing that could happen in the future, but at this point that's not something that we're focused on, and has never been a focus of Qortal for a specific reason. And now
are you gonna make a privacy coin that mints?
So yeah, like, the idea is to eventually have a privacy transaction type, right? Once we have that privacy transaction type, then the ability to create quote-unquote side chains. And now these side chains will be a little different because they won't be reliant upon Qortal running. You can run it with Qortal side by side, or you could also run it completely separate as a completely separate platform. Now, you could take that and make the anonymous transaction type the only payment transaction type, right? So yes, that's absolutely possible in the future. Yeah. Yep. Along with a bunch of other things. Yeah.
Can we elaborate?
A pirate chain that mints would be amazing.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
Yeah, so I'm thinking, like, in the future, a lot of the proof of work, proof of stake chains are going to realize the folly of their underlying powering mechanism, right? And they're going to be seeking a way to rescue themselves from that scenario. And now the only way that you can really do that is to launch a chain that's minted like Qortal is. And, so yeah, the future is going to be pretty interesting in that regard as well, definitely. And what were you saying, G?
So if you can elaborate on what we have conceptualized so far, right? So as you just mentioned, we're not going to have just a Wild West where, people can create their own assets on the chain, but we have conceptualized the idea where they can submit a proposal, and then after the dev team reviews and vets for it being authentic, that can then, a summary can be written and proposed to the community, and we can have community consensus and actually issue an asset. So that's still possible.
That was talked about in the past because there was a potential for that to maybe take place with a project that was going to be building on top of Qortal. That has since not taken place, so a lot of people like to talk and don't actually like to follow through. So, but yeah, the idea could still definitely take place. So we do have the asset system. It is possible to release an asset. Now, I would not want to do that unless that asset was completely legit in every way, right? So it would first have to be proposed, then voted on by the community, and if it passes the community, it would go to the dev team, and then it would have to be figured out how it can be created in a completely legitimate way, then built, then launched, and so forth. So yes, that is definitely a possibility. I've already talked with both Cal and Kat about the potential of doing something like that, and even utilizing the AT system to actually create the asset so that it's not created all at once and held by a single person and so forth. It could actually be distributed by consensus of an AT. So that would be an interesting way to do it too. But yeah, it's definitely possible. So that's something that could definitely take place. Yeah.
Hey, I was thinking of incentivize a method to incentivize people to sponsor other people.
Right.
Like, right now there's really no incentivization for me to go out there and actually try to find people to give.
Well, the incentive should be to help the person that you are sponsoring, right? Like, that's really, it's all about intent, and like it was supposed to be, help out your friends and family by getting them started minting, right? Obviously that's super idealistic, but if like somebody were to create another method of rewarding
what if
people for
what
that,
if this what if the founder or sponsor gets like a fee for the first 3 months? Sponsoring that person.
The problem there is it then turns into basically like a pyramid scheme, and I do not want any sort of association with anything like that at all.
Well, I was thinking it's kind of funny because if you would try to game that, you would be just paying yourself, so it would be useless to even do it unless you're really doing it.
I mean, you'd have to really explain exactly what you mean, because where are those coins to reward that coming from, and like so forth.
So you would get 10% of that person's minting reward for the first month, right? You get the first month for sponsoring.
Well,
you know what I'm saying?
I wouldn't like that idea, but yeah.
People come in, they ask, hey, what's the incentive for sponsors? There is none. Right, as far as reward, it's a feel good.
Right, and that's why nobody wants to do it.
I don't think nobody wants to do it. Like, I mean, from what I've seen, everybody who's come in requesting sponsorship has gotten it. Like, and I haven't even had to be really doing it actively. So
yeah, I think more value in removing identification than adding it.
Yeah,
I think it's a push instead of a pull. So instead of waiting for people to come and ask you, of course you're going to do it if they ask you. But this actually allows people to get out there and have an incentive to push it on other people for them to have minting accounts.
I mean, the people should want minting accounts, right? From what I've seen, if you
tried to game it, they just give it to themselves, so it wouldn't matter.
Now, here's another way to look at it. Now, if they get their ass out there and help build adoption. Right, more adoption means more liquidity, right? Which then relates to the supply and demand and the coin price and return on investment. So it all goes full circle with genuine effort. So,
Right.
the whole model now is about if you put in the good work genuinely, then good comes back. So it's got a good karma model.
Also, from what I've seen,
he's right.
From what I've seen too, sorry not to interrupt. I want to get this across please. Before I forget it. From what I've seen, if people don't want to mint, they will get sponsored and then not mint, and so that also leads to a bunch of accounts that are sitting there not doing anything. So like that, we need people to want to mint, then they'll actually keep doing it. So it has to really kind of be the way that it is, in my opinion. So
yeah. Well, in the future, you said there's other incentivizations you're going to put for minters. So if you're a minter, you'll be able to participate in renting storage and other stuff like that. So that's
I don't look forward to anything in that area, but I agree with him wholeheartedly in that if there's any incentive from a cynical standpoint, that's what he's saying, from a cynical standpoint, there's no real incentive other than to cheat the system. Then you get extra stuff. Otherwise, there's no bonus. You're like, hey, I helped a guy. Yeah, and the average person doesn't really,
it's already accused of being a damn
push. Pulling is easy, right? But pushing is hard.
Yeah, well, giving back the rope or taking back the rope you gave is a problem.
So there'd be like an incentive, like I got 30 accounts this month that are paying me, the sponsorships, right? It'd be like. You get that 1 month reward from them, and then next month there's an incentive to get more people to get more reward.
Yeah,
but you're not incentivizing them to build an authentic group of sponsees. You're incentivizing them to put numbers of number of accounts they're sponsoring. It's not about quality,
right? So if they want to scam it, they can, and they'd be doing absolutely nothing because they'd just be giving their own money to themselves. You see, so it'd be pointless for them to try to scam it.
Well,
because if you're taking it from a real person, you're actually giving the minting account to a real person. They'd be saying thank you for that with that first month. That's their thank you. Thank you for sponsoring me, sir.
I mean, another way that this could potentially be done that might make a little bit more sense would be to not to be offensive or anything. I'm just saying, if we were to create potentially an AT, right? And this AT works in a similar fashion to the way that the crowdfund AT works. However, it pays out, instead of to the person who started it, it pays out to everyone who has issued a sponsorship in the last X number of blocks. So it finds however many people have issued a sponsorship in the last number of blocks and pays out to those people, right? So then it could be a donation-based thing to incentivize overall sponsorships, and the sponsors could get rewarded from that. Now that would be
the underlying issue though about quantity.
Right. It still comes down to that too, which I agree. Like honestly, I don't think any sort of incentive for sponsoring is necessary because the people should be coming in for the right reasons. And if we add any sort of incentive for it, it's going to incentivize the gaming people to want to game it more. So
Right. I wasn't, by the way, saying that there should be something. I was just recognizing that he is correct. There is no other incentive that you don't give yourself.
Yeah, I mean, the incentive should be the overall growth of the project, the overall reach of the project, and helping out the people that are getting involved early so that in the future they'll be fine, right? Like, that's the incentive. The incentive is what's going to happen in the future, Which I know is idealistic, right? It's idealistic, yes, everyone, we get this. Like, the whole point of the platform is to be as idealistic as possible, right? Like, so, I mean, we are looking for a certain type of person right now. Like, in the future, when the coin's valued a hell of a lot more, and people can mint enough to live on their, just from their level 1 account or whatever, right? Like, then people will be, joining just for that reason, right? Like, base income or whatever, right? But that's not the focus at all right now,
I am idealistic, bro. I got ideas all the time, dude. I'm from Brooklyn, bro. Why you throw all these big words at me?
If we get to the part where it's paying for internet, it's done.
Right, exactly. So that's what I'm saying. Like, the whole idea, from years ago,
with our own internet.
Right. Well, the whole idea from years ago when we first started talking about this with myself and Ian, Siam developer, we were thinking like, a router in your house is running all the time no matter what. So why don't we have a router that mints, and then that router is then covering the cost of your internet connection at first, and then eventually establishes a mesh network, right? So it's got the mesh network tools built into it in the back end, and then when you're covering your internet costs, everybody's stoked because they're getting free internet, and then later on we flip the switch to turn on the mesh, and boom, then we don't need the internet anymore, and we win, right? So that was the original concept, and that was why the very first device that we did build that ended up getting discontinued and so forth. But the first device that we did build was actually a router, right? So it was meant to replace your home router and be both a router to the traditional internet as well as a router to the Qortal network, right? And now, we've since pivoted a little bit from that for multiple reasons, but that could still be a thing that we do in the future as well, because we're still not to the point where every single person is minting, right? So, but yeah, we have a plethora of potential ideas. Yeah.
Jason, can you are you at a point where you can share any previous or any recent conversations about reticulum protocols and technology related to that?
Yeah, so yesterday I sent the link to Quick here, who's in the chat with us now, and I figured he would be a good one to help me start trying to figure out how to connect Qortal over Reticulum. Now, from what we both see, it seems like what I originally thought is definitely possible. Like, you can already route Reticulum over I2P and Tor and so forth. So if you can do that, then why can't you route Qortal over Reticulum too? Now, with or without TCP, like internet type connection, right? So I believe it's definitely possible. Also, I have someone I'm talking with who has direct communication as of last week with the main developer of Reticulum. And now if I can get that communication myself, which is what I've been trying to do for quite a while. Dude's like super mysterious and difficult to get a hold of, but it seems like I'm very close now to getting direct communication with Mark Cuvist, who is the one who developed Reticulum. Now, if I can get in touch with him, then he can teach me really quickly how to make this happen. And then, so the goal is, at least initially, right, I want to keep the Qortal developers focused on Qortal stuff for right now, and I don't consider the mesh Qortal stuff quite yet, right? So what I'm thinking is that if I can facilitate this on my own, or with the help of a few others that are not focusing on developing the core or the UI fully right now, right? If they can help me and get this going, where we can then do basically a beta version where I can teach people how to set up Reticulum and allow Qortal to connect over it, right? Then we can have it basically as a separate module that you install for now, and if you want to, you can make Qortal try to connect over it and establish your own local mesh. Then we're basically good to go, right? Like, we can have it as a separate module for now. We can keep focused on QApps and the development that we've got going on right now. On Qortal's side, we don't have to worry about building Reticulum support at the core level for a base connection method quite yet, but if we can make it happen as a separate installation, and I can just do, I'm pretty decent at writing guides, so I can write a few guides on how to set this up, whether you just set up a gateway on your network and then tell Qortal to connect through that gateway or whatever, right? Then we can at least start establishing mesh connectivity with or without it being directly built into Qortal at first, and go from there, right? So that's kind of what I'm thinking right now. Yeah.
I'm more than happy to help you with that.
Right? Yeah.
That
so
sounds like a good thing to do.
Yeah, I think
I will
it's a good
direct
time.
attention to that.
Nice. Okay, so yeah, I've pretty much started figuring it out on my own. There's a lot to learn when it comes to Reticulum, so it's not like something that I'm just going to be able to like read in a day and go, oh yeah, it's like this, done. And I don't know if we're going to need to like write any sort of our own software for this, but I've brought Quick in to talk without too. I'm trying to talk with Mark. Like, that's who I'm really looking to talk to.
Yeah. So I've done some research on Mark, and Mark, I hope you hear this if you're listening. So you seem to be a guy, if I was talking to him, right? He's a guy that doesn't like people to use his product for profits. And
totally.
So he sounds like a great pirate. He's a very open source guy from what I see.
Dude,
he's a grassroots type of guy, and I think meeting you, being a grassroots old school crypto person as well. I mean, I think you guys would have a lot in common.
Right? That's what I thought too. Like when I read the reticulum documentation at first, I was like, no way, I cannot believe this actually exists. Like, this is crazy, because it was literally identical to what I wanted to build. I could not believe that someone had already done it. I thought that we were going to have to do like we did with everything else and build it from scratch ourselves, right? I was like, when I saw it, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. I cannot believe that this already exists. Like, it has its own protocol, doesn't rely on IP addresses. You can route everything over it. It automatically establishes a mesh automatically with any sort of hardware that you have that can do it.
Yeah.
It just does it. It's freaking amazing, dude. It's awesome. So
if you guys want to find Marquis' work and do your own research, you know, you'll find them in MIT documentations, and from what I remember, and you know, all over GitHub as well.
Yeah, just go to his Git and you can find the documentation links. Yeah, dude, the software is absolutely incredible.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, it's absolutely the exact thing that we need. Like, we have everything else on top of the protocol level, right? Like, and we needed that protocol level, and I just was like, holy crap, this is exactly what we need. So yeah, I'm like 99% sure we are going to use that, because having to build something like that on our own would take at least 6 months, if not a year or more, right? And then tons of bug testing and fixes and all that.
Tons of community funds.
Tons
of community funds.
Yeah, man, I'm like super stoked
paying
that it exists.
Yeah, this is a community project,
right? So, but yeah, like, I mean, it seems like perfect, ideal, right? So if we can make it so that we just have a reticulum installation and then tunnel Qortal connections over it, that's really all we need. If that works, we're golden. I don't care whether it's built into Qortal right now or not. If we can do that, and I can teach people how to do that, how many people are not going to do that, right? The people who just don't care about mesh or can't mesh with anyone nearby, maybe, for now. But why not just do it for fun anyways, and just to see if there are mesh nodes that pop up nearby. You'll see them. They'll connect to you automatically. So I think it's awesome.
Especially if they're car nodes.
Right? Yeah. So
come on, man,
dude.
You know my theory is correct. So every mesh so far only creates static nodes. Why don't we create dynamic nodes, ones that move around, so that if somebody's stranded like in the woods and it just so happens your car has a node and it's driving by, you might have saved somebody's life. You know?
Right? Exactly.
He's like, oh, I got a connection.
So I always thought of it like, you know, if everyone who had Facebook right now installed on their damn phone were to install a mesh connected Qortal node, right? Even if it's a light node and it's just relaying the mesh, then you'll have friggin' mesh connectivity everywhere, like every fucking where, right? Yeah. So yeah.
So what kind of hardware do we need to run Reticulum?
None, man. You can use literally anything. Like, it will work over everything from typical wireless and Bluetooth to friggin' ham radios and like super low bandwidth stuff. So you can literally establish a mesh with any sort of wireless connectivity that you can imagine. It's friggin' amazing, bro. Like, it's totally amazing. And so now someone else reached out to me. I have no idea how they found me. They didn't even seem to know about Qortal. I think they must have found me from the one post that I made on the Reticulum GitHub, trying to get communications going between Reticulum and Qortal, right? So this person reached out to me, and they're like, so I have this hardware that I have that our team has put together, right? And they show this to me, and I'm like, wow, okay, that's pretty cool. Like, and so right now I'm trying to get to where I can trade trade a Cortector for one of his devices, right? And now what this device is a wireless connection device, right? So it was built to like control drones from really far away and stuff like that, right? Apparently, with a small amount of voltage, it will reach 50 plus miles at 500 kb connection speeds. Then, with a lot more voltage, dude says it will reach out into space. So I'm like, if it'll reach out into space, then it'll definitely reach across oceans, right? So,
What?
right?
I never thought about that, bro. The
Yeah.
remote controls for drones. Do
Yeah, right?
Wow.
I never thought that transmission was possible.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
So that dude reached out to me. Yeah. So I'm talking with him too. I'm trying to right now figure out if I can trade a Cortector for one of his devices. Because he has no plans on making that device into some standalone device. It was meant to be a device that's connected to something like a Raspberry Pi, right? So it's freaking ideal. It's literally ideal. So I'm like, okay, great. Now the only thing I'm not sure about is whether they're developing it open source or not, but I've come to the conclusion that, at least for the beginning, we are basically going to have to probably make use of at least some closed source hardware. Now, it is what it is as far as that's concerned, because there just isn't much in the way of open source hardware that will actually work for establishing a mesh like what Qortal needs, right? So I've come to the conclusion that, basically we're going to need to use some closed source stuff, at least for the hardware side of it, which isn't as big of a deal as long as as much of the software as possible is open source. So Reticulum being used, and this guy is planning on using Reticulum to have mesh connectivity with his hardware. So I'm like, okay, fine. I don't know if it's open source. It could be. That would be obviously much better. But even if it isn't, for now, I think we're really not going to have that many options as far as fully open source hardware that's going to be capable of doing what we need to do. So using things like the Ubiquiti beam devices and so forth for now, and whatever, just to get the mesh established. It is what it is, honestly. Unless these hardware companies have some way to literally shut the hardware down remotely, which I guess we wouldn't know unless it happened, right? That would be the only thing that would be actually an issue. But anyways, so I think the fact that we're going to probably have to deal with some closed source hardware at the beginning until we can get to a point where we can literally start manufacturing our own. It is what it is, because if we want to establish a mesh now, we need to use things that are available now. We can't use things that are not available.
You explain will you also highlight how data is encrypted and what that actually means, versus now using the internet service provider and what they can actually see?
So that would also be dramatically improved if we allowed it to be tunneled over Reticulum, right? So Reticulum by default encrypts everything too. So we would have dual encryption on everything on QDN and encryption on the sync data if we were able to tunnel Qortal through Reticulum. So that would also solve our other potential thing that we are going to be solving in the future regardless, but it would make it so that all of the synchronized data between nodes and connection data, that kind of data. So basically the only thing that's not encrypted right now is the data that between nodes when you're synchronizing and so forth. So everything on top of QDN is encrypted, even the public data, right? So all of the data is encrypted and chunked on QDN, so we don't have to worry about any any of the actual usable data, like pictures, videos, music, all of that kind of stuff. That is encrypted and chunked by default. Whether it's public or private doesn't matter, right? So that's totally fine. The only thing that you can see with a packet sniffer or whatever, Wireshark or whatever, you can see the sync communications. You can see, that a node is on that connection and that it is trying to synchronize with another node, that kind of thing, right? And you can see transactions submitted from that node, which is the reason that we're looking into doing the dandelion thing.
Dandelion.
Right. So, I mean, these things will all happen regardless anyway, but if we tunnel the connection over Reticulum, then all of that sync traffic is also encrypted, right? So it helps us out in multiple ways. It allows us to establish a mesh, which is obviously one of our end goals anyway, and it also encrypts all of the stuff. So all of the sync traffic and QDN data would then be double encrypted, right? It would be encrypted data through an encrypted tunnel. So yeah, it would be ideal. So I'm really excited about looking into this, and I think that it shouldn't really take all that long, especially if I can get in communication with the developer himself and just say, yo man, teach me how to make this work. And he could just be like, do this and this. I'll be like, sweet, great. And then I'll figure it out, write a guide for it, and we can start it basically immediately, without any changes to the Qortal core directly, right? So
you see, there's not that many heads of projects out there right now that are talking about what Crowe is talking about. Right. So if you guys haven't understood why I like, and now that I have, like, I'm back down to normal level on coins, like you guys. I mean, literally, I did have a lot, and now, unfortunately, I lost like 2 years of mining, which is very sad.
Damn.
And yeah, man. I mean, I'm crushed, bro. I'm crushed right now.
That really sucks, man.
I don't even want to do my meeting today, but you know what? I'm going to do it because, people have to learn. You guys have to see the differences. There's other coins talking about making silly NFTs, where this guy over here, he's talking about decentralizing things further and private, making things more private. That's the type of talk I want to fucking hear. Not this fucking bullshit. Like, dude, what are we, all fairies? We want little pictures? What are we, children? We're gonna pay $1 million for a picture on a fucking blockchain? The kind of stupid shit is, you don't understand the stupid shit that's out there.
I mean, notice I didn't even mention the fact that, yes, we'll be able to do NFTs, and our NFTs will be so much better than any other NFT because the data and the proof of ownership will be there on the name. You'll be able to use a name as an NFT, but I don't even really talk about that because to me it's like, yeah, great, whatever. Like, that's just side functionality that comes along with everything else that we're building that's not really something to be focused on, in my opinion. But yeah, it's definitely possible too.
What, are you building a video game? Oh, that's so cute. It's so cute.
I mean, games are possible too, right? Like, but the base level
Those
needs to be as encrypted and as secure and as good and as idealistic as it can possibly be. Then anything built on top of that is by default as badass as it can be, right? Like, that's what I'm talking about. So, like, that's why we've put so much focus into making sure that everything from the very lowest level, from the code base itself, to the way it was built, to how it was commented, to everything else and all the stuff that was built on top of it being as legit as it can possibly be. That's why it took us a while to get to this point, guys. Like, that's why, yeah, this project has been in concepts and development for a very long time. The actual development started in 2016. Yeah, we only had a few developers working full-time on it back then, but still, it's, man, guys, like, this project took time for a reason. It was not something that we cut any corners on at all. It was not something that we did anything in anything other than the most idealistic possible way. So yeah, like, people saying, oh, we have this, we've been working on it this long and we only have this and this to show for it, when in reality you guys just don't see what I see as far as all of the stuff in the back end. The way it was built is going to make a massive difference in the future, right? This project is built for the future. It's not built to be like, oh yeah, we're all gonna get rich immediately and all this nonsense, right? We're not even focused on trying to get back to fiat at all, right? Like, that's another thing where almost every other project, they're focused solely on their market. You know why that is? Because they don't have anything else. All they have is their damn market. So yeah, it's and they don't even have a market that's built in a truly decentralized fashion. So it's like, you have a nonsense market. Yay, fantastic, good for you. Like, I mean, and what am I supposed to be happy for you about this? Like, so yeah, I mean, thanks, Lutz. I mean, we've done this all for a reason, guys. Like, yes, it might take us a little longer to get to certain points. However, once we get there, we know we're getting there in the most legit possible way, right? So yeah, like, and we will always do things that way. I personally refuse to do anything any other way, right? Like, we have to do it this way. If we're looking to actually be the future, this is the only way. Yeah.
So what he's saying is the excitement in the foundation. If you don't see what utilities can come from this foundation that's being built, you're not looking at it good enough. You need to continue looking. Because what could come out of building the foundation properly is going to be something amazing later on. That's what Crowe is saying. So before you build a house, you need to build a foundation first, a good one, a really strong one. And then the house could be built and it could last a very long time, and anybody could go in and out and utilize any room they want for whatever they want. It's similar to that's what it's like on a ground level.
And since our platform itself is meant to be a foundation, right? If we don't build the foundation of the foundation as solid as possible, then what are we even doing here? Like, why are we even doing this, right? Like, it has to be as legit as it can possibly be in every aspect, right?
Do we have a question
Actually,
Go ahead.
Ethereum and Binance and all those token economies, they're the Band-Aid to what he's building.
Right?
They're the side way of building. Like if you could not build this, you would build it like that, because that's the easier way of doing
Cutting
it.
corners.
Building more layers, and having centralized components in all factions of a decentralized project. No, man, that's not the way it's supposed to work. When you say something's decentralized, every aspect of it needs to be decentralized. Just like when somebody tells you it's a decentralized exchange. No. If the order books are not decentralized or any component, the database, any component of it is not decentralized, then that is not decentralized. All right. So none of those decentralized exchanges are actually decentralized.
And trustless and verifiable. And yeah, that's the thing. Like, right, we have done it all in a way that's not only completely decentralized, but also completely trustless. You don't ever have to worry about coins getting lost. You don't ever have to worry about anything going down. You don't ever have to worry about any of that nonsense, because it's all built in a completely legit way, right? And that's exactly it. Like, we've made sure that everything is done that way. Now, of course, our reliance upon GitHub right now is not ideal, right? But we've built everything in a way that we will be able to disconnect from that, and that will happen in the very near future too. And when we do, dude, we're going to be able to disconnect every open source project from GitHub. They'll be able to create their own name. That name will come along with a Git repo, so then they can disconnect themselves from the Microsoft-owned and controlled GitHub and be happy and joyous with their lives from that point on. Because, check it out, so Git itself is actually a decentralized thing, right? It was built that way. But GitHub is the centralized component of it, right? And that's where all the code repos actually live. Now, we have given Microsoft ownership over the location of where every single open source project's like source code is stored, right? So how is this great, right? And
like saving on a Google Cloud storage, essentially.
Right, man. And
you don't fully own it, control.
Right, you don't. And so we have now gotten very close to the potential of having a Git repo on every single name, which means that you will no longer need to utilize GitHub to store your code, which I think a lot of people are going to be really interested in. And just that in itself is massive, massive, massive value, guys. Like, massive. So, and since we have not only public data, we will also be able to do private data, and then private data tied to private groups and so forth. You will be able to actually have a private repo that is truly private from everyone, unless you specifically decide to let them see it, right? So there's that potential as well. So, like, yeah, guys, this is the only way that the future can be built legitimately. And, you know, we cannot cut corners. We cannot do anything stupid. We cannot do anything centralized. It just won't work that way. Like, and I know that this will show itself in the future. Now, I'm hoping that people can understand from our words and our, like, demonstrations, and not have to go through the pain that I have personally gone through with centralized services having issues or screwing me in one way or another.
How much
banks,
Bitcoin have you lost?
PayPal, dude, it's easily 20, if not 25, from centralized exchanges.
Just Bitcoin, right?
Yeah, it's just Bitcoin. And, like, I've lost tons of altcoins. Like, I don't even know how to count them all.
And also, I just want to express the demeanor. I want to show you guys. You see how much money I lost, like, yesterday, and I cried all day yesterday and last night especially, and a little bit this morning. But you know what? I didn't blame the project, and I didn't blame Crowe, right? I blame myself, because it was my responsibility to make sure I had backups of those keys. And so I just want to show people the proper way of responding to your own fuck up.
And that's the thing too. Like, in a project like Qortal, you're not, like, we cannot be held responsible for anything that anyone else does. we didn't do it. We can't do anything on behalf of anyone else. So it literally puts the responsibility and power in every individual's hands, right? And yeah, dude, that really, really sucks. I really hope you find that. Man, I wish you didn't do that format a couple times. Why'd you do that? I could definitely get the data.
I was confident I had backups, dude. I was
man.
so confident
Well,
I
you
had
know what?
backups. And then when I looked, I didn't. And I was like, fuck.
I
then I remembered it was a new computer I made, and I totally forgot. Forgot, bro.
Well, even if you did do a format a couple times, I might have some software that might still be able to get it. So I'll share that with you when we're done with this call.
I'm gonna hold on to the drive, and when I see you,
the best thing, just send your computer to Jason, and he will look into it.
Exactly.
Yeah, it depends on how much data you laid over top of it, I think.
I mean,
but one condition, if you save it, you have to give 20,000 of that to
the dev fund. But no.
If you guys know who I am, you know I wouldn't have an issue doing that.
Right. So I'm not worried about that at all. I just want to help Lutz.
So on that point, let's interject one thing, because Rose brought it up earlier. One of the most important wiki pages. I know, wiki, it gets old. One of the most important wiki pages is called account. Yes, sir. But account setup and recovery, right? That actually has a text guide and a video walkthrough.
Every time you keep saying it every time.
I'm trying to beat it till we're black and blue over it, right? So Yopalex was kind enough to do the video for us, and he actually does a walkthrough of how you can actually, see a seed phrase if you choose to, right? Or you can, skip that step and download the backup file, And anyways, just wanted to throw that out there again, you guys. The wiki, the homepage has a homepage video. Will familiarize yourself with the layout. Then one of the most important pages on the wiki is account setup and recovery, because as we see today, even our fellow Lutz over here, if you don't properly secure and back up that account, we can't assist you with account recovery. It's virtually impossible, right? Other than to some great lengths, like he's going to ship his damn computer to Jason, and they'll see what they might be able to come up with,
Especially if he's a founder icon.
Yeah, didn't you get the memo? That was awesome.
The founder account is in pirate. That's a pirate.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
Hey, Jason, I have a question.
What I lost sadly was not like other people's money. It was not that, not any account, but my own personal savings.
Damn, bro.
Which I was hoping.
Let change the subject. I have a proposal. I have something share about myself, and I think that's a great idea for marketing. Make a nice business card, keep it in your pocket. And share this opportunity with everyone. I share opportunity with the doctors, lawyers, the waitress, whoever. I just give my business card, and they look at it and they said, "How we can get a hold of you?" I said, "Just go there and say Qortal Rose, and they know who they."
Hey, Jason, we have a question from a community member here.
Sure, yeah.
From username Decentralized. Could we, a couple sentences here. So could we follow conventional domain name methods in Qortal? Conventional domains are not case sensitive, but Qortal currently requires them. So 4 accounts can have same name. For example, so if you can break down those two aspects.
Okay, so you can, conventional domain name as in like the case sensitive stuff, no. But you can do
like .com.
Yeah, you can definitely do like Crowetic.com. I have Crowetic.com registered on Qortal. You just don't need a dot anything, right? Like a Qortal domain can be anything, literally. It can even be an emoji, right? So like as far as like the convention, what I do personally is I register all of my names lowercase, because then it makes it simple for people to send. So that's the only time it really actually matters, right? Is if you're using that name to send coin or whatever, send anything like messages or coin to that account, right? That's when the case sensitivity matters. So you have to type it the way that it's actually registered, right? So if you want people to be able to easily type it, in my opinion, the easiest way to do that is to ensure that it's all lowercase. But that being said, if you're trying to register a name, you cannot register the same name with capitals as someone already has registered lowercase. The system is smart enough to realize that. Now, what you're saying is if we wanted to take that realization and apply it to sending coin and sending messages, I think in theory, it sounds like it could be possible, right? But we've never like actually looked into doing that. So what the name registration does is it takes the name and it basically, like, I guess, I don't even know how to say the word, maybe sanitize, I don't know. It takes it to where you can't make another copy of the name that's similar because it uses every similar option and says no, right? So I think that same logic might be able to be applied to sending to that name. If that's what you're asking, then the answer is a solid maybe. Yeah.
Yeah, the rest of it, I should have read.
Interesting.
So lowercase spelled free food versus capitalized free food are all unique names on Qortal. So I think they had a misconception
No, they're
of
not.
that 'cause
Yeah.
we don't, right? So we explained that. But then furthermore, so I see this as a big problem as it doesn't even include the keyword without spaces and hyphenated variations. Also in names, you can only search for exact name and not other versions of it above due to case-sensitive search. Following conventional domains. Hold on. Following conventional domains, at minimum, QDN searches should include keyword regardless of spaces, and QDN should never require case-sensitive exact name search. That was it.
Okay, so the searching is a different thing. We can probably definitely fix that. Like, that's just, right now it searches for the exact name because that's just how it is. It was a simple way to put in a simple search, right? Like, right now we only have simple searching. We don't have, like, a search engine, right? In the future, that's definitely going to be greatly expanded for searches and so forth. As far as registering goes, you can only register one copy of the name, whether it's uppercase, lowercase, both, whatever. You cannot register both. So if you have a name and it's registered lowercase Croatic, if someone else tries to register uppercase Croatic, it will not work. So I don't know how you have that in like that understanding that that's not the case. You cannot register an uppercase and lowercase version of the same name, so you don't have to worry about that. The only thing that you do have to worry about at the moment is sending to the exact registered name. So in that case, the case sensitivity does matter, so you have to copy it exactly the way that it's registered to send messages or coin to it. But you cannot register a lowercase and uppercase version of the same name. That's not a thing. As far as the hyphenation and all that other stuff, as long as the name is, I guess I would say, like, noticeably different. It has to be noticeably different and unique in order to be registered. So if the name is noticeably different and unique, it can be registered, right? If not, then the system will figure it out. So if I try to register CROWETIC versus CR0WETIC, it will not work. So yeah, there's no way that you can trick it like that. But yeah, as far as sending, right now it does have to be exactly to the name as it is registered. So I think we could probably add some logic to that, but yeah.
There's a feature over Telegram I would take.
What's that?
Being able to register other names, that's what scammers do. They'll make the name look like your name.
Yeah,
and then they'll act as you.
That's exactly it. So that's not possible on Qortal. Yeah, and we've done that on purpose to make sure that that's not possible, right? So.
Yeah, good too.
Right. It needs to be unique, actually unique. It can't be anything similar to an existing registered name. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's like a trademark or brand.
Exactly, yeah. And it can be used like that in the future, too. Like a total trademark idea like that, yeah. Mm-hmm. Unique names only. But yeah, as far as right now, sending to the name, you do have to use the exact case sensitivity. So if it's registered a certain way, it has to be sent to that exact way. But that does not mean that you can then register another version of that name. That's not possible. So totally unique names, absolutely a thing. Sending to the exact case sensitivity of that name, a thing right now. I could see how in the future it might be possible to modify that and make it so that it will use the same logic it does to register, to verify that it's unique, to be able to send to it as well. So I will talk with the devs about that. I don't know the complexity on the back end as far as making something like that happen. And yeah, for now, as far as searches go, we literally have like the most basic possible searching right now. So you can search for the metadata, the description, or the name, right? And as far as the search at the top, if that's what you're talking about, in the block explorer that's built into the UI,
Yep.
that's not
Yep.
that's not really a search per se. It's more like a way to look at an account, right? And I guess if it says search, we should probably reword that, because it's more like check out an account instead of search. But yeah, we can add more logic to that in the future as well. Right now, we literally have like basic versions of all the things that we have, right? So we're getting like basic demos going of all these things, and then in the future, we'll be able to add complexity to those demos and make more things happen and so forth. So, I mean, people need to kind of realize that we have an extremely complex system, right? So that's something that takes a lot of effort to get all of these little tiny features like what you're talking about put in, while we're also trying to get a lot more of the base level stuff added and demoed, right? So yeah, those kinds of things can definitely be something like when the voting system goes live, a proposal could be put up for something like that to say, why can't we, put in a name that's similar to the registered name, as long as it's similar enough to where it knows that it's the same name. Why can't we search for that, right? And I don't know the answer to that off the top of my head, but we can definitely look into that. It's definitely probably something that makes sense to be possible to me, because if the core can do that when it's doing the registering, it could probably, we could do that same thing when we're searching. So yeah, I see the benefit of doing that, so it could definitely be something we look into for sure.
So earlier you were talking about gateway authentication, that it was a bit more complicated than expected. So where are you at? Where
Well,
are the
I didn't
devs
say
at
it's
with
more
that?
complicated than expected. I just said that it's not going to potentially be released immediately with the first iteration of QApps. So I don't know exactly, because that's not really a focus right now. So that's the thing. Like, whenever something isn't a current development focus, I kind of have no idea until it is, right? Once it is, then I can kind of give a better idea as far as like completion time, right? So like, people always need to keep in mind that like, we're building stuff that's never been built before on a platform that's completely unique. So it's like, I really won't know exactly when something's going to be completed until the developer goes, okay, I'm working on this now, and here's the estimation on how long it'll take to complete, right? And I never really like push for those kinds of details, because I don't want to stress the developers out any more than they already are just from building a platform like this. Like, the complexities of just building Qortal are immense, right? Like, and so I do not want to add any sort of extra stress to the developers at all, right? I hate ever even having to ask, yo, how long do you think this is going to take? I don't like asking that question, and I usually refuse to do it, right? Only in really certain situations will I even ask that question, right? Because I do not want to add any extra stress to them. I do not want to make it feel like it has to be completed by a certain time. I do not like any of that, right? So I always make sure to like keep the stress levels as low as I possibly can, add as much support to them as I possibly can, and do nothing else, right? So until they tell me, this is what we're doing, this is how long I think it'll take, I literally don't know. So people asking that question all the time, it's kind of like, I'm never really going to have an answer for you on those questions. So usually what I'll do is, if I know when something will be completed, I'll just tell everyone. So there's really no need to ask that. I mean, you can, I guess, but most of the time the answer is going to be I don't know. But I will usually let everyone know whenever I do know exactly when something's going to be completed, or as close to as possible, right? The only time I really know exactly when something's going to be completed is when it's already done, and then we're talking about when it's getting put in, right? So that's the only time I know exactly when something's going to be live, right? So for now, I mean, the best I can do is just let people know as soon as I know more details on the thing. So basically, this is how the gateway auth came to be. Like, I literally just came up with this idea, right? I was like, could we do this and this? And we started talking about it. And it's possible. So it's something that we're going to be able to do. That's about as far as we've gotten with it, right? So this literally only came up like a couple weeks ago when I started talking about it publicly. So it's not like something we've planned forever. It's not like something that, it has been like being worked on already. It's something that's a new thing, and I am not going to stress them on getting it done with the initial iteration of QApps. Now, it could probably be done shortly after, or it might even be done with the initial iteration, but I won't know that until I know it, right? So yeah, if that helps.
So the reason I asked, the reason I was asking is pertaining to the utility that we can use that for in order to, get new people into the platform. And could you go over that idea, the basic idea that applies to marketing, that would be utilizing that?
Yeah, for sure. So, I mean, you'll still be able to access things, right? Even without the authentication portion of it, you can still watch videos, you can still like view websites, you can still like do all the other stuff, right? You just won't be able to interact with the Q app, right? So we could still like have, videos hosted on QTube, and we send links through the gateway and they can be watched, right? So that's not a problem. Like, we can still do that immediately no matter what, right? And I host a public gateway with 2 nodes behind it right now. I'm going to keep adding nodes to it as I can afford to, and make it like super redundant and whatever, right? So that's always going to be a thing. However, the ability to interact with QApps, like say somebody posts a video and you want to make a comment on it, that's what the gateway auth is for. So you'll be able to access like a normal internet link, then it will create you and assign you basically an anonymous Qortal account. Since things on QDN can be published without any fees, you can actually, make comments or even make blog posts or whatever. But there's another portion of this that hasn't been done on the back end yet either, which is the ability to publish data without a name, right? And Cal says that's definitely possible, and we do use that already with certain things, but we need to make that and test that a little bit more and so forth. So, but what the idea is you'll be able to have an account created that's essentially an anonymous account that you can use to publish blog posts, publish comments, whatever. There are going to be a few caveats, at least in the beginning especially, right? That session is the only time you'll have that specific account. So if you make a post on whatever, and you want to later be able to recall or edit that post or whatever, you need to download that file and import it into a node in order to take full control of that account, then register a name, and then you'll be able to modify that data, right? So, and that single session is the only one that you'll have that specific account. If you access again and have another session, then you'll have another anonymous account, right? So that's the thing too. So we'll need to make sure that people are aware of this and that they use it to access something. If they want to have that account later, then they need to download that backup file. It's going to be really essential for them to get into the habit of doing that if they want to later be able to access that same account, right? So we can obviously, as time goes on, we can have other tools to make it so that you can potentially hold on to that account and whatever, like using the gateway. But the whole point of the gateway is to funnel people into using Qort in the correct fashion. So using it through the gateway is just meant to be like a temporary way to use it so that you can see it and see what it is and whatever, and then download the account and use it in a node. And then when we have light nodes and mobile support and so forth, then the gateways will become a lot less necessary because people can just install a copy of the UI that comes along with the light node, and then they can access everything in the decentralized fashion, which is the way that everything's supposed to be accessed, right? So, but yeah, the gateway authentication will be a great way to get people to see and experience what Qortal has to offer without the need to set up a node or create their own account or whatever, right? So it'll do that all for you. So it'll actually be easier than using a centralized web application, because you won't need to create an account with username, password, and have that emailed to you and verify that and all that stuff, right? You literally just click a link, it'll create the account for you, and you can interact with QApps. Now you just need to download that backup file if you ever want to re-access that same account, right? And so people will also have to be kind of careful, I guess, with which accounts they're sending coin to. If those people are, only using it through the gateway, they may never download that backup file, and they may never have access to that account again. So any court that gets sent there is essentially burned, right? So just keeping those things in mind and keeping people funneling them towards using everything in the way that it's meant to be used is the whole idea, right? So yeah, I don't know exactly how long it's going to take to develop, or if it'll be launched right with QApps or not. Ideally it will be, but I'm not going to stress the developers out and say, we have to make sure this gets out with this, because it's not a necessity in my opinion. Not for, we can have the rest of the QApps functionality. You can still view and use QApps, you just can't interact with them without the authentication. So we'll see how it goes, right?
Yeah.
Yep. But either way, even if it's not immediately, it's going to be not that long after, right? We have an extremely talented team, so I'm not worried about how long it's going to take, because I know it's not going to be that long. Even if it doesn't happen immediately, it'll be pretty much immediately when looking back at it from the future, right?
Yeah, obviously I'm asking from the perspective of the summer, if we're able to utilize it, for an advertising campaign, to make it easier for people to basically come take a, Qortal for a test drive through their,
right,
smartphone or whatever,
Yeah, I mean, 3 months is quite a bit of time, I think. So, we should be.
That's idea as well for boots on the ground, right? I could have my Samsung Fold out, and whether I'm at a bar or wherever, and if we're at a convention, then we can set up, some workshop stations. So my imagination runs wild with that.
So yeah, I mean, even without the authentication, you can still demo everything. You can still show people accessing and watching videos and whatever else, viewing blog posts and everything else. You just won't be able to make comments or whatever, or make your own posts unless we have the gateway auth, if you're accessing through the gateway only, right?
Yeah.
So I don't see it as that big of an issue to where we're gonna delay QApps because of it, right?
Yeah.
Lutz, you got some background noise or something there, bro. Lutz. Oh my god.
We're listening to the nightly news, or I guess daily news.
There we go. He muted himself. All right. Okay, so where should we go from here? I am not 100% sure. Basically, QTube is essentially complete. We have just finished the modal for publishing videos, so you can publish a video with pictures and all the cover photos and all that stuff. So that's now done. All the rewording, as far as instead of saying upload video, saying publish video, and all those little rewordings and stuff like that. Instead of saying search movies or whatever, it says search videos. That's all done. So the only thing is now we're working on the Cube blog, which is, the basic functionality has basically been completed. We're working now on the styling and making it, look really awesome, and adding a few little other things, like being able to publish multiple pictures next to each other instead of one picture on top of another on top of another, and so forth. But yeah, these are all just little functionality things that we're adding to it. So, and of course, remember always, right, that the initial versions of things are not necessarily the way it'll continue to be, right? So people they have a tendency to go oh my god, this functionality is not ideal from the very beginning. But we're not focused on making every single functionality as ideal as it could possibly be. Otherwise, it would take forever to launch anything. So we make the underlying functionality as legit as it can possibly be. Then we make, an initial version that works, has some demoable capability. Then we take it from there and we get input from the community, and then we say, okay, we can do this and this and this and make changes to it, right? So the hardest part is always just getting the first version of it done, getting that published. Then we can take that and add functionality to it later. So anybody who like sees the initial version of anything and is like complaining about it, you just have to say, okay, take those complaints and propose them as changes, right? Yeah, and then we can work on that as time goes on, right? So, does anybody have any other questions or topics you want to go into?
No.
No.
I'm streaming the whole thing, so I'll go over it a few times. I'll download, a version of it.
Cool. Yeah, I recorded it too. Nice.
I had music going originally. I decided to turn it off so I can do editing and then add music if I like. But
nice. Yeah. Sounds good. I'll give you my recording too, just if you need it or you think it'll help at all. Like, I know that when I record it, since I'm recording directly from my mic, my audio might sound a little better, so you might want to like take the audio from mine for my voice if you want to do that. If you want to go that.
No, I was going to run Bruce free on your background noise and just remove all that.
Yeah, I also I also mute my mic. Now I've started doing that every time. Since the end of last one and now this one. Whenever I'm not talking, I mute my mic so that any background noise you hear on Discord is not going to be on the recording.
Well, you can see it now if you have another screen. Look in the pins. Look at the DLive link.
Hey, Jason, by the way, do you have a fan going on in the background?
Yeah.
Yeah, we could hear that the entire time, but it wasn't too bad.
Really?
Yeah, just a little mild background white noise.
I was going to remove it.
Interesting. Okay.
Hey, let me jump in here and just remind everybody about the European marketing campaign that we're doing. Yeah, if anybody's in Europe and wants to help get out flyers, we're basically doing a campaign where we're taking in funds to the on-chain account promotion. So if anybody wants to donate to that, they can donate to promotion. And if anybody wants to get involved doing it, just send me a direct message either on on chain or, in Discord or whatever, and let me know where you're at, and we'll go from there. Make stuff happen,
By the way, I have published that on the Boots on the Ground initiatives page, on the community initiatives page. I'll send a link to that through the gateway if you want to share that to people instead of having to retype it out every time or whatever, copy paste. I have it posted there now for you too. So.
Okay.
Just to be clear, you're saying that this is a wallet and address on chain in Qortal.
On-chain,
promotion.
Yeah. Promotion is the name, capital P. Pretty much all my names always start with a capital letter, usually.
I see. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
I asked you that before, but I didn't understand the answer. I just wanted to clarify this time.
Okay. Yeah. No problem.
I sent the link in the Core Talk text just now, so if you want to share that link to people, it has the promotion there on the link. So.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so either we're going to try to do a massive printing of one language, English, or a lot of them having, like, somebody in France asked if we can do like 1,000 in French, and probably in Italy we'll do them in Italian, and maybe we're just kind of playing it by ear, So if we do individual countries and individual languages, we won't be able to print as many, because, when you do one massive printing, you save a lot more and you can, get a lot more copies out. So we'll see how it goes. It depends on how much we can raise. So far, if we did like one printing, we've got, more or less enough for like 25,000 flyers right now. So, we're making some progress. Thanks to Lutz. He's the main contributor to that. What's that? Somebody saying something?
No, I think it was an echo.
G factor.
I
I thought you spoke.
All right, unless there's something else, I'll just stop the recording here. We can hang out longer if you want, but I think an hour and 43 minutes is a pretty good time to stop. So unless anyone's got anything else I think we should talk about, just
we could retouch on the voting of the flyers and the sticker campaign, the contest that we have going on. I don't know. I think G Factor, I think, wasn't in here when we started talking about that.
Yeah.
So basically,
I heard it.
Say again?
Yeah, I had my phone on mute, so I heard you guys.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll establish the voting for that and figure out the way we want to do that, and we'll put that up today or whatever, and we'll get it going.
Okay. Yeah, that'll work.
Hey, Karadek.
Yo.
I have a quick question. A couple of weeks ago, you were in the podcast talking about Qortal, and they mentioned other decentralized communication solutions. One of which was Bastion, which is doing something similar with the decentralized YouTube. I'm curious what you think about it as a competitor to QTube.
Okay, yeah, for sure. So I did look into it a little bit more in depth, right? They are doing things on the back end a lot differently than we are, right? So they are using a decentralized, well, I guess you would say it's decentralized, but it's a YouTube alternative platform called PeerTube, right? And what that is, I mean, I've run a copy of it before. It's basically identical to YouTube, where you can like upload a video to a server that you run, and then you can have a list of those videos that are available, and they stream from the server, whatever, right? Apparently, there's a way to further decentralize the back end of it. I haven't looked into all of those details yet, but there are a few key fundamental differences between Bastion and Qortal, right? The primary one being that Qortal has QDN, which is our completely custom data network, wherein everything is encrypted and chunked and published across whichever node decides to follow or view that data, right? So it makes it much more easily expandable. On Bastion, you have to have a certain amount of coin in a wallet to be able to run a node, and a certain amount of coin in order to allow certain other functionality to take place. Now, I think that's a limiting factor, and I don't really like that much. Also, the way that they're doing videos, to me at least, seems like they're streaming them directly from nodes, which is also why they have such a high net connection requirement, and I think that's not necessarily ideal either. That being said, a lot of the other stuff that they're doing, such as like not storing the data on the blockchain itself, I think obviously that's the only way that something like this can work, so they did that at least as correctly as they could using the technology that they're using. They also, they're proof of stake, so I'm not a huge fan of proof of stake, obviously, so that requires money to participate and allows people with more money to get more reward, and I don't really like that very much. The platform seems to be fully focused on just being a YouTube replacement, so they are, that's why they're probably further along as far as the functionality goes right now than Qortal is for QTube, obviously, because we haven't even launched it yet. But Qortal is focused on being an overall infrastructure platform. Now, this means that anyone will be able to take a name and build any application they want on top of that name and make that live, and then even sell that to someone else in the future really easily without needing to change hosting, domains, servers, any of that stuff, right? So we are not really competitors, in my opinion. Like, yeah, you could say that Bastion is a competitor to QTube, but QTube is just a single Q app on top of Qortal, right? So it's a completely different focus. They, proof of stake, not ideal. Having to have coin in order to do things, not ideal. Limiting what you can do based on coin, not ideal. The way that you're streaming from a node, not ideal. Requiring high internet connection, not ideal. So there are a lot of things that I wouldn't change if, I was building it. So that's why, Qortal is focused on being a infrastructure platform. It's not focused on being one specific application. And even that one specific application focus, I think, is not as ideal as it could be. That being said, it doesn't seem like a bad platform. I haven't actually run a node for it myself, full disclosure, haven't done that yet. I potentially will, but it seems like I'll be limited unless I buy their coin, which I'm not sure I plan on doing that. There doesn't seem to be a way to mine or generate their coin in any other way other than just buying it and staking it. So that is also not like ideal in my opinion, right? Like you should be able to jump in and start, earning coin, even if it's a small amount, in some way without having to pay, right? So, I may set up a node just to test it out and see how it goes, but ultimately I believe that the way that we do things is superior in multiple ways. The way that we do the data storage, yes, we're not going to be able to do streaming immediately, but the way that we do everything, it allows any sort of connection speed as long as it's like not less than like 100 KB, right? And so they require 10 megabit connection to be a node, right? So that limits a lot of people right there. It limits a lot of people due to the fact that they have to have coin in order to make the node actually functional. And like, there's a lot, right? There's a lot of little subtle differences at the lowest level that I think makes it not as ideal as it could be. So.
Okay, yeah, that was a very detailed explanation, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. I'll have more when I actually set up a node, right? Usually I will go through and actually set up a node. I'll look at it. I'll tell you how easy it is to use on the surface. And, and the fact that most of the people using it are using it through what I would consider a gateway, right? Which is, it's okay, but it's not as good as it could be, right? So I don't know how they have it set up as far as if I wanted to install their app and not run a full node. Do they have light nodes? I don't know, right? So I haven't gone that far with it yet, but I will do a more in-depth explanation. I'm planning on potentially doing like a Qortal versus this, and do like pages explaining what I found out when I went through on other platforms and what the differences are and so forth, so that people can see why we did everything the way we did, right? So yeah, if you have anything else, let me know.
A great idea.
Yeah. It seems to me that what they're doing is they're first to market, or they're ahead of us in market time because they're doing what they can with available technologies, but you guys are building the infrastructure first.
Right.
Which I would agree is the better way to go.
Yeah, I mean, we want everything to be as ideal as it can from the lowest possible level, and that's why we rebuilt everything instead of taking a clone of some other coin and adding to it, right? And that's what basically every other project has done. There are only basically, 5 or 6 maybe completely custom blockchain platforms that exist, as far as I know. The rest of them are clones that have other functionality added or certain things changed or whatever, right? Which is fine, but if you want something that's built specifically to be an infrastructure platform, you can't really use a clone of anything that exists, in my opinion, because they just don't have what it takes to do it in a way that makes sense. So yeah, I mean, I think once we get a little further along, people will see why we did everything the way we did when they see how it ends up functioning, and like they'll see the differences and they'll see the benefits and so forth. So yeah.
Well, I think the network effect Qortal is going to be very powerful. And I think that's something people often overlook. They just look at, the coin and not the network of people running said coin.
Right, exactly. And that's the thing, was where we've focused on getting a very strong network. Every minter has to have a full node running, right? And so that makes our overall network a lot stronger. And I think that, yeah, you're absolutely right. The network effect on Qortal, because of the way that it's built, and this model was built based on years and years and years of experience seeing all kinds of other models come and go, right? So we built this model for a reason, the way that it's built, and I think that you're right, that it's going to be really, really cool to see how it plays out and see how the network gets stronger and better as it goes on, right? And we also, so now we have the new archiving method, which has already been released. It just hasn't been enforced. So right now, the new archiving method will allow us to bring the full node database down to roughly 7 gigabytes, right? So as we're getting bigger, the database is actually getting smaller as far as the storage goes. So that's really, really cool. So that allows us to keep focusing on full nodes, right? So it's going to be really cool to see, in the future, you'll be able to run 30 years or whatever of blockchain data in the same amount of actual physical data as other coins run in a year or two, right? So it's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very interested in possible big tech alternatives. And so when I saw that in the same interview as you do discussing Qortal, that really piqued my interest. So
right.
Yeah.
I think
appreciate the answer to that question. Thank you.
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm here for, right? And also I think doing that comparison thing where I started doing one with Dero because somebody in, I think it was Crypto Vigilantes group or whatever, they said, oh, well, Dero can do everything that Qortal can do, but it's completely anonymous. And I'm like, there is no way that that's true. So I installed a Dero node, right, and went over it, and immediately I was like, this is not true at all, not even close. So I don't know where they came up with that, but it's not true. So yeah, I want to start doing a little bit of those kinds of things and publishing Qortal versus Dero, here are the differences, and then Qortal versus Bastion, here are the differences, right? But ultimately too, if these projects are actually built in a legitimate way, right, we can build support for them. Ultimately, we're all trying to do the same thing, right? As long as the project is built legitimately and it's not run and controlled by a massive corporation and gonna end up being the same bullshit that we're dealing with now, I'm totally fine with building support for it and not looking at it as a competitor at all, right? Because in my honest opinion, I really don't think Qortal has any competitors. We've done everything uniquely, right? So that means nobody else has done everything the same way. If it hasn't been done the same way, then it's not a competitor, in my opinion. Yeah.
And that's why we put we do not aim to compete per se. We aim to build regardless, and at the very least, we can salute other projects, but ideally we can build support for ones that are able to commingle. Look at Pirate. Let's talk about Reticula, right?
Yep. It's just hard to find projects that are actually built legitimately.
Yeah, so I was in a privacy chat, a privacy coin Telegram channel, and basically with one of your responses, I think it was Dero, in fact, or one of them. The one anyways, their initial response was like, wow, you guys are just being haters. And I was like, well, no, actually, in our case, what I just said a moment ago, it's about actually, we're going to build regardless, or if we can build support, or at the very least salute, right? We have a much different perspective on trying to build together and not actually coming in trying to be haters and discredit other projects, but hopefully, ideally, collaborate and build together in some capacity. Yep. Yeah, that's totally reinventing the crypto space. That's huge, because everyone's so tribalistic, Anyways.
Well, from what I've seen, the alternatives to big tech have almost all had a big, fatal flaw that will prevent them from actually being able to realize that vision. And that's part of the reason I'm so excited for what Qortal's trying to do. Because because you got all the infrastructure right, you can essentially have a network that does it all in one fell swoop. And that's incredible. It's okay.
Right, I know, right? It was literally the most idealistic thing I could possibly think of, combined with a bunch of more idealistic things from other people, and just let's build the most idealistic platform we can, right? And that's what we started with. So yeah, I think it's working out really well so far, because we have some amazing talent working with us. So yeah, it's awesome. All right. Unless there's anything else, I will stop the recording.
All right, me too. Then I'll break it and restart it.
I just want to say I'm ready to go to moon.
Right? You got your spacesuit? All right, sweet.
Thank you very much. It was just wonderful. I think this meeting is make more easier. Everyone understand. Like I think myself learning every minute of it.
Good.
So
Yeah, that's the whole idea.
Yes. Thank you. It does help. It does help people understand. And I think the video you're making with that, that'd be great too.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I'm going to do a bunch of walkthrough videos and so forth, but I want to wait a little bit until we have the QApps functionality. Then things probably won't be changing as dramatically from that point on, so I can do videos that will last a little bit longer. If I do them now and then we add QApps functionality, then basically everything on the side of QDN changes. So it's like doing them now really doesn't make a lot of sense. We can do some of them, I guess, but it makes more sense to kind of just wait until we're to a point where things are not going to be as dramatically changed in the near future. So, but yeah, I do want to do those kinds of videos as well, and I do want to start doing like those comparison posts and so forth. And do ones the way that I do it, where you literally just install the software and see, right? If they have the same functionality as Qortal, then you should be able to install their software and do the same things, right? If you can't, then it's either a lie or it's hopes and dreams that haven't been realized. So either way, you know what I mean? So yeah, we'll figure that out as well in the future. All right, guys, I'm stopping the recording. That was good. Thanks.
Me too.
All right, dudes. Have a good one.